Hello, and welcome to episode 5 of Safe Raph Stories podcast. I'm Laura Gazley, Integrated Access and Flow Network Manager and the Safe Raph lead. In this episode, I'll be chatting with Raph Bedard, who's a registered nurse at Valley Regional Hospital. Raph is part of the Safer F team at Valley Regional and recently started working with the Care Coordination Center, which is commonly known within Nova Scotia Health as C3. To give you some context, C3 supports teams to identify issues and find solutions together using real-time data. This is translating into improved patient access and flow, more efficient bed management and discharge planning, better scheduling of staff, and more collaboration across health zones across the province. Overall, the Care Coordination Center is resulting in faster access to care for patients and more efficient use of resources. So, Raph, welcome, and thank you for joining me on Safe Raph Stories.
Thanks for having me.
You've been working with C3 for a while now. Can you explain the patient manager tile, or what's commonly known as the PM tile, and some of its features?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's basically an online version of what we used to do on paper here at Valley Regional. I was very excited to find it. It basically allows me to pull a lot of the information that we already have on our automated computer systems, Meditech, and so forth, and then have that available to us automatically when a patient's admitted. So that was the biggest thing that was very interesting to me. But and then it allows us to update every discipline. It has spaces for everybody to add their information. And it can be a very quick thing if organized properly.
Sounds really useful.
Yeah.
So how do you use the patient manager tile to do bullet rounds?
So the way I use it right now is different than what I've heard other places are using it who've had it for even more. But the way I use it is essentially, I mean, it's all my patient information that I need, all the barriers and goals that the patients are needing for discharge. My discharge or my length of stays are there, and discharge dates, and I mean it's a work in progress right now, but it's definitely it's the sorry I use it such that I go through all the patients, and sometimes if there's a doctor in the rounds, I can actually put on a filter and go by doctor rather than searching my list of paper. We used to have paper, and then we would try to scan down the paper. Oh, there's my doctor. Now I can just create a filter, and all the entire doctor's list is right there. And then this is a work in progress, but all the disciplines also have their area, and I can click on their little button and have their plan that I've written in.
Yeah. So during bullet rounds, do you actually gather around the patient manager tile?
Oh, so right now we don't, and I think it's going to change soon, but we don't. For now, unfortunately, it's only myself that looks at it, and another colleague of mine that we help each other out to enter information. Ideally, the entire multidisciplinary team is going to be involved, and we're slowly getting people accustomed to that. And I've had some positive feedback from that as well.
Perfect. So to that end, does your team do live updates, or are you doing them after rounds?
So I will, like today, I didn't have my counterpart with me today, so I had to enter everything myself. So I've basically written myself a little note, and then I clean things up at the end of the day. But I mean, I don't know if I'm answering your question, if I'm answering too much for your question, but essentially my goal is to simulate or emulate what other sites have done, and they have 2 people from the multidisciplinary team, can be anybody, and they're the ones that are entering the information one after the, alternating, and then team lead would just facilitate the entire session. We're working our way, but now I'm today I was essentially all three of those people just entering as I lead the meeting.
Right. Sounds challenging.
Yeah.
Have there been other challenges with using the PM tile? What are some of those challenges?
I mean, of course, as we're coming online, and I see this as being like for sure 6 months to a year until we get everything like oiled and everybody's on board. But the challenges have been, I guess the first challenge was that we weren't used to updating things on an online cloud-based computer or whatever, or on cloud-based application. It was an Excel sheet that we used, and we'd have to manually enter in all the information that we wanted to, the doctor, the patient's name, diagnosis, everything. And that was just so laborious. And so now it's slowly but surely coming to a point where we've got things organized similar to what our sheets were. And then I think with the C3 tile, it's also teaching us about new ways to organize our information, where it's not necessarily about putting a lot of like stories. It's point form and keeping it to the barrier, keeping it to the goal, and that has translated to being a little bit quicker with rounds as well.
Right. So it sounds like the teams are saving time in the end. It's a bit of a work in progress to get there, but the ultimate goal is to save some time in those rounds.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So have you seen any other successes with using the PM tile or C3?
I mean, I guess successes right now where we're trying to get people on board. I've seen when I've approached different disciplines like social work, physio, and occupational health, occupational therapy. They've been pretty receptive to even just like going in. Like I've had physiotherapy put in their information on all the patients. That's been great. It's the upkeep that's a little bit, because it's a new process and we're all used to having like sheets of paper around us.
Yeah.
And that transition is going to be like one patient, one record. We're going to get rid of the paper. So I think it's a similar transition where once we have all the information there and people start to see how useful it is, then people are going to start doing it more consistently. But yeah, right now I've had occupational therapy have put in their information at one point, and a lot of interest, and that's one of the successes, long-winded success. But another success, I guess. I mean, I no longer have to really. I feel it's a really big step to not have to put in the patient information, like just having all the patient information. And now we're starting to get Meditech synced more, like all the consults are now coming in. Physiotherapy is like dietary, everybody's automatically consulted. So that's slowly but surely, my job is getting less of running after people for updates and more moving along a plan that I see is being updated, as we go.
That's amazing.
It's really good.
Yeah. So any advice to units who are learning to use C3 or the PM tile and SaferF?
Right. Well, and with any change, you need to bring a boatload of patience and a lot of open-mindedness, and think a little positive. But I think with that, like it really, the more you use it, the more you get used to it, the more you see that this is actually a very efficient way to run things. And then one last thing, I guess, is that when you're trying to get people on board, know that this is a new technology, and that with any new technology, there's a learning curve. But when you show the benefits of what this can do, that's the best way to introduce it. And yeah, that's basically what I'd say.
Yeah, that's great. Raph, thanks so much for taking the time to discuss your work with SaferF and C3. I was talking to Raphael Bedard, registered nurse at Valley Regional Hospital. His SaferF team has been using the Care Coordination Center as part of their work with SaferF. This has been episode 6 of Safe Ref Stories podcast. Please like and share to the Safe Ref YouTube channel and catch upcoming episodes. Thanks for listening.